So here's an update to the video series of part 1 and 2 that I covered last weekend, which was titled, Wife Had Affair, Now Having Public Meltdown Because Husband Won't Give Her a Second Chance. And in those two parts, guys, because it was a week, the first video was of the wife having a big meltdown on Reddit looking for a lot of pity because she cheated on her husband, full-blown affair. He caught her, and even though he seemed like he was trying to make it work initially, he wasn't interested in continuing the marriage. He wanted to divorce her. And she was just felt so, he never loved me and blah, blah, blah. And he was giving up on us and looking for all the pity and bullshit from the public because even though she's the one that ruined the marriage, cheated on him, cheated on their kids, all that, and make him out to be the bad guy. And he wasn't. She was the one that ruined things. No accountability. Part 2 was him actually seeing her post on Reddit and responding in kind by him saying, hey, you know what? I did love you, but you know what? I can't stay married to a cheater. You ruined it. And he was way kinder than most guys would be. And the guy was moving on, etc., etc. And I speculated that her doing all this and singing the blues was just the beginning. There'll be more things done to get attention. And here we are on to part 3, and let me tell you, actually it's not what I expected. And you guys are going to be pretty surprised. Well, no. Actually, no, most of you guys will not be surprised what happened here, but let me tell you, it's definitely, well, you'll see. He says, this is a very hard post to make, but necessary. I am the better half and have posted in the past about my reconciliation journey with my wife. Ultimately, our reconciliation did not work out, and I deleted my old account. But with recent events, I wanted to share a message with other couples, both betrayals and waywards. For some backstory. And now we're going to get more details of what was really going on that she left out. My wife and I had a great marriage and a great life. You may have had a great life and great marriage, but she certainly did not. We married over 10 years ago and had 3 amazing kids together who are 8, 6. Our first son suddenly died when he was 4 months old and lived a life that was by all accounts the envy of many. My wife was amazing and beautiful both inside and out. Dude, you're being way too kind. She was a great mother, and we had a great friend and family network. Everything was going great until late 2020. This is when my wife began an affair with a much younger coworker. It went on for over 2 months, and it was centered around a domination fetish, which I had no idea about until the moment I discovered messages on her phone that revealed everything. And what else? Did you see her walking around with her master's butt plug in her or something? The extent and nature of the relationship with the affair partner shook me to my core. Yeah, because it wasn't just the normal type of, say, affair. It was actually like this domination thing. So you can only imagine, the messages going back and forth, and probably her ass is bright red from being spanked or something. This first year was extremely hard. I essentially rug swept the affair, but looking back, I did so in a very unhealthy way. I fixate on it privately and pain shop relentlessly on the inside while trying to put on a front on the outside. I did this for my family since losing them was simply not an option, but I didn't know how to deal with what I was going through. Looking back now, I can't help but think it was the worst path for me. I would have been better either to dive into reconciliation and therapy from the start or decide up front it was too much and divorce. Dude, you were going through hell that a lot of guys finding out that the wife that you loved and thought loved you was having an affair with a younger dude, a coworker, and a whole fetish type of thing. So however you handled it was the way you handled it, and you can't feel bad or have regret knowing how this story is going to end. But I didn't. I rug swept, pain shopped, and suffered immense pain, which I internalized. Our relationship was one of platonic parenting while we put on the charade for those around us. We had no physical relationship for over a year after D-Day. Well, I wouldn't want to touch her either after she was cheating on me and walking around with her master's butt plug in. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, knowing what she had done with her affair partner. She did all the right things. She was extremely remorseful. She put in the work, went to therapy, put up with my self-pity, and never once deflected blame. She suffered through a lack of physical intimacy like I did, but never pushed. She really was the model wayward spouse. In other words, she knew she was in deep shit, and so she was putting on the therapy and the waterworks and all that. Even if she was sincere, you never know. Still, it doesn't change what she did, and you have every right to react the way you did. But it wasn't enough, not for me. Looking back, perhaps nothing would have been. I think I was one of the guys wired not to forgive betrayals like this. Well, you had your reasons. I would say you can forgive in time, but forget? Hell no. You can't be married to someone like that. She'll do it again. I think I was one of those guys. Okay, I said that. I thought and still think this was because of the level of love and attraction I had for her. It was so strong and it made her betrayal so much worse for me. But of course, there are others who love their spouses in the same way and are able to forgive them. I just wasn't one of them, which is why I kept rug sweeping it for so long. Dude, nobody blames you. Eventually, we made progress and resumed physical intimacy last summer. I used the term progress in quotation marks because it wasn't really progress looking back. We had sex, but it was difficult to say the least. Mind movies and triggers turned what used to be lovemaking into aggressive sex on my part. It wasn't fair to her, but it was the only way I was able to do it, and in the moment, it still felt like progress to me. For her part, again, she took it in her stride. I'm sure she hated it, but outwardly to me, I know she was happy that we were intimate again. Yeah, but it was all bullshit. This pattern lasted until everything changed when my younger brother tragically passed away last fall. He left a young daughter and wife. Following his death, the dynamic between my wife and I was not well. I just felt like everything came to a head with the passing of my brother, and combined with constant triggers and my own guilt of how I was treating her, I decided to move out and formally separate, and we discussed moving forward with divorce. Dude, that was the right way to handle it. It didn't work. You tried. He thinks he didn't try hard enough, but he did try, and that's that. And believe me, you all remember that part 2, he was very overly kind and loving, in my opinion, to her, but he was. And said he was going to be there for her and all that, but it wasn't enough for her. She was devastated, but I simply couldn't go through with it anymore, and I couldn't continue to punish her. I still loved her with everything but it wasn't enough. After a number of weeks, I decided to give it one more shot and move back home. For a brief while, things were okay, but it didn't last. The triggers returned, and I knew the trust would never return. See? Once that's gone, it is gone. You have to have trust in a relationship. And he couldn't get the images out of his head of her doing Lord knows what with her dom. He says here, I also knew that while I still loved her, my feelings would never return to what they were pre-affair. I knew it was the time to end our marriage for good so we could begin moving forward individually with our lives as co-parents. My wife did not take this well. She had a severe breakdown, self-harm attempt, and wound up in the hospital and an inpatient mental health facility. There you go. She got out last month. I tried to be there for her, but I was walking a balance between doing this and not instilling false hope that we'd get back together. I'd also begun seeing someone else. Uh-oh. I told you in the other video, the second he starts seeing somebody else, she's really going to lose it. This was not something I sought out, but one of those things that happen as circumstances collided. 10 days ago, my wife took her own life. She was 39 years old. I am devastated. My kids are devastated. I've experienced so much loss in my life, but this is the most painful, the most pointless. I wish I had done so many things differently. Dude, it is not your fault. She made that choice. I feel tremendous level of guilt that I could have done something different to prevent this. I also feel anger. I'm taking each day one day at a time and simply trying to be there for my kids right now. But I wanted to share this along with a message. My message is betrayed and wayward spouses alike. Check in with each other. If you've been unsuccessful in R like I was, remember that you once loved this person and probably still do. If you can't be together because of the affair, be aware of each other's mental health and help each other through the transition as best you can. R.I.P. my dear Allie. So, as it turns out, she ended her life. And I thought that, I wouldn't say I joked about it, but I thought I wouldn't be surprised. I certainly thought there'd be attempts to get attention on it, but I'm going to say what a lot of you guys are probably thinking about right now. What a selfish asshole. Not him. Okay? Now those kids don't have a mother. Okay? And life would have went on, but now she knows this guy's going to now blame himself. His own brother just died recently, so he's dealing with that pain. And now she ends up killing herself. And now the kids are going to be depressed, and maybe the kids will blame him. Right? I just hope like hell that she had a freaking life insurance policy to help with raising of the kids. But seriously, yeah, there are people in pain in this world, but at the end of the day, you can move on. Ending it is not the way. And some people may say, well, you know what, the kids are better without her. It sounds like she was good to them, although one could say she was cheating on them with the husband, along with the husband. But the point is, life's short. You only get one shot, and she threw it away like that over this. She could have moved on, but now those kids don't have a mom. Now he has to deal with that guilt because he's obviously too much of a nice guy, in my opinion, but we have to not be too harsh on him and feel bad about it, and I hope this guy doesn't go around carrying guilt and blame in this whole thing. What could I have done? Should I have gotten back with her? No. he handled it the right way. He was much more compassionate with her than a lot of guys would have been. And at the end of the day, she brought this on herself. So I feel bad for those kids, and I hope they're all right. They're going to be in therapy, that's for sure. And probably this guy too. But this guy deserves happiness and something good in his life. So I really hope he moves on. But anyway, guys, you heard all along. You remember the whole meltdown she was having, blaming him, and he didn't love me, and I tried so hard. And then, you know what I mean? If there was anybody for a woman to get divorced from, it would be this type of guy, because he actually was trying his best, even though he certainly didn't have to. And he's at the end saying, check in with, even though you're splitting up, check in with those. Believe me, there are a lot of guys who have been through hellish divorces where their wives were awful to them that wouldn't shed a tear if something happened to them. You know, so anyhow, I feel bad for the kids and this guy, because he's way too nice, but obviously a good guy, and I don't want him to suffer. But anyhow, that is the end of this story here, and I was surprised, and yet I wasn't surprised at this whole thing. So let me, guys, let's hear what you think in the comment section. I really like to hear your opinion on this particular subject. I'm going to get a lot of guys saying, hey, no loss, blah, 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 but I still feel bad for those kids. I'd like to hear your opinion about that.